Welcome to another episode of Sweet 915. This is season 3. We would like to thank you for tuning in. I am your host, Curtis Smith, and my co-host
It's me, Fedora. How you
is
doing, Curtis?
Hey, I'm good. Uh, I'm a little stressed right now, but we're gonna get through this because it's NFL Sunday and my team is playing the so-called America's team. They think they're America's team, but we are still a nation, and it's a close game right now. But we'll get through this because we got other things we need to talk about. So thank you all for tuning in and supporting us through our seasons. It gets better and better every day. As you can see, Miss Fedora is looking all so educated with them glasses. I'm telling you what, she's doing
I
it
was like,
today.
what you about to say?
She was doing it today, boy. Look like got a little change in her pocket. How you doing, Fedora?
I'm great. I'm great. No
That's good.
complaints.
That's good. So today's topic is breaking from narcissism abuse, from a biblical approach to healing. So, could you tell the people a little bit about narcissism before we talk about other topics?
Yes, narcissism is diagnosed as a personality disorder. So it
Mhm.
is a personality disorder in the DSM-5. And I'm going to read exactly what it says from the DSM-5.
Okay.
It says narcissistic personality disorder. You have to have a 5 or more of these criteria. And it is a pervasive pattern of grandiosity in fantasy or behavior, a need for admiration, a lack of empathy, beginning by early adult and present in a variety of contexts, as indicated by the following. So the person has a grandiose sense of self-importance. Um, I'm paraphrasing a lot of it because it goes in depth. Is preoccupied with fantasies or unlimited success, power, brilliance, beauty, idle love, or ideal love. Believes that he or she is special and unique and can only be understood by or should associate with other special and unique people
Mhm.
of the status quo,
Right.
requires excessive admiration, has a sense of entitlement, unreasonable expectations of especially favorable treatment, or automatic compliance with his or her expectations. This is number 6, is interpersonally exploitive. So that means they take advantage of others to achieve their own goals,
Okay.
lacks empathy, and is unwilling to recognize or identify with the feelings and needs of others, is often envious of others or believes that others are envious of him or her, and shows arrogant, haughty behaviors or attitudes. Now, I say again, in order for you to be diagnosed clinically with narcissistic personality disorder, because a lot of you might be saying, oh, I know a person like this,
Yeah.
or I know a person like that.
Yeah.
You have to have 5 or more of those criteria. So if you do think back, these individuals with this personality disorder believe they are superior, special, and unique, and they expect for you to recognize them as such. So, and their self-esteem must always be like stroked. You must always admire them and give them their attaboys, I guess you might say.
Okay.
So that's just a little background on narcissistic personality disorder.
Okay.
And
And
we just
before
got rid of somebody in power that way. So I'm so happy.
So before we bring on our guests, let's talk a little about the current events. COVID numbers are steadily climbing, and the county judge and mayor, or our current mayor, is at odds with the county judge's stay-at-home order, which expires this coming Friday, or expires this Wednesday. From posts on social media, people are still having large gatherings, as you spoke about, and are not following protocol. Uh,
That's why they
speaking
keep going up.
of that's
That's
why
why the numbers keep going up.
the numbers keep going up. And speaking of the mayor, we are in a runoff. Former Mayor Oscar Leeser and current Mayor Dean Margrove will head to runoff in December. December 12th, I think, is the current date that they will have the runoff. So make sure that you still have the opportunity to register to vote because of the runoff. And if you haven't voted, go out and vote again so that we can select the right person for the job. Lesser finished with a huge lead. The unofficial early voting numbers have Lesser at 43.34 and Margot at 24.67. And Carvajal, who was considered a favorite, at 20.92. One thing is for sure, the numbers show that people want change. The hope that is voters will revisit the polls to decide. And we also have a couple more runoffs in District 2 and 4. So get out there and vote. National election 2019, we have President-elect, was that Joe Biden, President-elect, and Vice President, who is the first woman and Black and Indian South Asian woman to hold this position. So congratulations.
Yes.
Yeah. People want change. We see change and they want unity. So hopefully as Americans, we can unify and make change.
Yep. Tired of the chaos.
Tired of the chaos.
Tired of the chaos. Yes, we have spoken. The people spoke. We saw democracy at its finest. Count those votes, and I can't wait until they finish counting them. Right? So they're going to continue to go up. Oh, I was so excited. I'm like, I did a praise dance
because he refused to concede. So he's like,
we don't care about that.
He
got to go.
He's in denial that he has lost the elections. So November, this month of November, we got a lot of things going on, Fedora. It's National Caregivers Month, National Military Family Month. We have International Fraud Awareness Week coming up next week. Week after next. We also have Veterans Day coming up next week. So salute to all the veterans. And Thanksgiving is coming up also this month. So this is a time of the year where we want to spend time with our families. Due to COVID, we smaller than usual. So let's think about the safety of our families, and especially our elders, and before we have these large gatherings at our houses. Okay.
And then if you do, just make sure that everybody's been tested, are not sick, and so you will not be jeopardizing grandma, granddad, great uncles who have pre-existing conditions and who can get it, and like a lot of people have gone on. So it's serious. If you love your loved ones, show it and wear your mask, these young people.
All right. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to bring our guest on, Miss Shannon Savoy.
Hello.
Hi. How are you?
How are you guys?
Great.
Thank you so much for having me.
Hey, thank you for coming. Thank you for coming. Yeah. Shannon is a U.S. Army retired Chief Warrant Officer, CW4, founder of NARC Free Living, LLC. She's also a domestic violence / narcissist abuse survivor. And she has narcfreeliving.com where you can find her. Welcome to the show, Shannon.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're doing some great things out there, bringing awareness, and we appreciate you for doing that.
Yes, it's needed. I appreciate your platform. It's just needed. We just have to talk about these things and bring them to light. People are ashamed and embarrassed, but I'm like, that shame is not mine to bear. Because abusers will go on to abuse. So why am I going to live my life, ashamed of being in a domestic violence situation? I want to heal, and I want other people to heal.
Outstanding. So you want to tell us a little bit about your organization and what you do?
Yes. So NARC Free Living is an organization that we talk about narcissist abuse and domestic violence from a more of the spiritual perspective. Because after I went through this, I was like, wait a minute, if I went through this, if I thought, I was, you check the blocks, like I'm educated, I'm smart, I'm career driven, I'm all these things. I'm a Christ follower, you're like, how did this happen to me? So after I got out of that situation, God put it on my heart to start this. It started really as a business, but it has really transformed into more of a ministry. So if I wasn't aware, I want other people to be aware of it more so from a preventive standpoint. So I know I talk to a lot of people and they're like, wait a minute, I'm going through this. So we have to, identify those red flags and formulate plans and courses of action, more so from a spiritual perspective, but also practical steps you can take to begin to kind of, break those soul ties, things that you can do financially to, begin to get away from that situation.
Okay. And with your program, do you have like you do a Facebook platform where you guys, you allow people to talk about those situations where you give those warning signs of a narcissist, where they can reach out to you and ask you, how did you survive? How did you get away? How did you break away? What helped you to adapt and overcome, or leave the situation and adapt to a different way of living? Do you have those opportunities? Do you afford those opportunities to those people that have the issues that you've broken from?
Yes. So I do a lot of videos on Facebook. I'm in the process of starting a YouTube channel as well, but I do a lot of it mainly on Facebook, on Instagram, and on Twitter. So I do videos, talk about things, and then people will write into me, and then I will, they'll ask me to do a video on a certain topic, and then I'll do a video on it addressing, their question, and then I'll talk about, not only address their question, but how I talk about that all the time. And it's on my Facebook, just wide open if anybody wants to read it. How I found myself in it, and then what I did, the steps that I took. And then on the, I wouldn't say backside of it, but on the other side of it, because it's a continuous process. You never arrive at healing like, oh, I'm healed. Yeah, God, I have Christ's DNA in me, so I am healed. But there are still steps that I have to take, ongoing, to make sure that I maintain my healing. Okay. So I do talk about that as well in different videos and things on my website and social media as well.
Okay. So how can one know if they are in a narcissistic or abusive situation?
Just like Fedora said, if you're in that situation, when you start Googling, when you get on Google and you're like, oh my goodness, you're in a fog and you're like, what is going on with me? You start to see things happening logically, physically in your body, spiritually. You start to take notice of what is occurring to you, and you don't know what it is just yet, but then you'll go on social media or something like that. And it's just like, oh my goodness, this person is doing all these signs to me. And like Fedora said, the DSM-5, it will run down all those signs to you, in here, in the psychological world, but also God gives us discernment. God will tell you, hey, something is not right. If you're in tune with the Holy Spirit, and even if you're not, because everybody is not walking with God, but God will still try to give you signs. He's that good. He will still try to give you signs that, hey, pay attention. Something is not right here. So once you're walking on eggshells, and I don't know, we'll probably get into all the signs and everything, but once you start Googling that behavior, once, that Holy Spirit, once your intuition is telling you something is wrong, then you have to pay attention to what's going on, or it could cost you.
Okay. So it's been said that most men are narcissists, right?
No.
Yeah. I'm telling you what I saw. Yeah. Most men are narcissists. So can you say that it's women and like Fedora said, people in power as well? Like Fedora don't like the man, but it is what it is. The president, when he's right now, he's just in denial that he has lost the presidential race, but he's still hanging on there, thinking that he won the race. He announced it the first day of the elections. He announced that he had won, and it wasn't even done yet. And as the numbers continued to change, he was still saying. Now, when the numbers change, he's saying, "I've been cheated." The Democrats are so. When we say that, could it be, pastor? And we're coming from a biblical standpoint, right?
Yeah.
So could it be pastors that think when they tell their congregation about certain things that they preach about? Do you see that as narcissism as well?
Yes. And of course, I'm not a therapist. I just have an extensive history. I was raised in a narcissistic, abusive home, come to find out earlier this year. And I've dealt with narcissists all my life. So I want to make sure that it's clear. I'm not a therapist, but you know, God gives us all certain gifts, and I am in touch with that gift. So to answer your question, first, men, there are a lot of men narcissists, but women are more covert. Men seem to be more overt. And I'm sure Fedora, if anybody's under, researched and read, you'll find that men seem to be more upfront with it, and women are sneaky. That's that. I see more women that are covert with it. So it takes you longer to recognize that a woman is a narcissist than usually with a man, because like you said, with the president, he's in your face with it. He doesn't care. He doesn't care who he hurts. He doesn't care. He's all the signs of a classic, sociopathic. I'm not, and sociopath doesn't mean you're going to kill someone like they show in the movies. Exactly. You know what I mean? It's just no remorse, lack of self-awareness, will kill, steal, and destroy anybody to get what they want. And then they're they're ultra competitive. So they can't see that what they are doing is so grandiose and it hurts other people. So he definitely displays all the classic signs of, way on the scale. Because some people are, some people are narcissistic, and we think it's somebody that looks in the mirror. Absolutely not. It is someone who displays those characteristics, but you have certain people who are here, and then certain people who are way over here, and he's over here somewhere in his own, because they all live in their own sphere of reality. They're not in touch with real life. So whatever fantasy. Yes, it's that fantasy. So they bring you into their world, in their world of make believe, in their world of pretend. And the media and everybody else feeds the machine, and he's in a place where he can get fed narcissistic supply all day long. You see that by the things in his here, and when he can't create, if he can't win, then he'll just create a win in his head. And that's exactly what he did. So he's so out of touch with reality. It's very disturbing that, that America or whoever, whatever you believe, that he was selected or whatever they did, however he got into power, is very disturbing that he was in power of America. That's disturbing.
Okay. Yeah. So let me throw this disclaimer out right quick, because Shannon, you brought it up, and Shannon, Fedora, and myself, we are not counselors when we talk about narcissism. Shannon has experienced in narcissism. She's a survivor, so she's just sharing her story with us. So if you have issues with a narcissism, and like Fedora gave you the signs, and Shannon also gave you the signs and told you what to look for, if you see those things, just seek professional help, because we are not counselors. We're just having a discussion, and Shannon is sharing her story with us so that you can be aware of what's going on in your life, so that you don't sit around saying, is it me? Did I do it? Is it me? What did I do wrong? And it's not you, it's the narcissist, right? Am I correct on that one?
And if you're asking that question, you're probably, because if you've been in that situation, everything they do, they project all their feelings onto you. So I had to stop and think, like, am I a narcissist? As I'm very highly sensitive, very empathic, but I had to start and think, like, is it me? Because you don't know. So if you're asking that question, 9 times out of 10, you're not the narcissist, because a narcissist will never allow themselves to be self-examined. So that's why it's so deadly to, I'll say, like, go to counseling with them, or even see a therapist, because they're in denial.
Yeah. So they don't have the problem, and it's called, they don't have any observational ego.
Right.
So they don't have that observational ego to say, hey, hold on, this is not right. They don't have that.
Right. Yeah. Well, me and you, if we got into it or whatever the case is, I can look at myself and be like, you know what? I was wrong. Let me go to my sister and apologize. Let me go to my brother and just talk about this. Oh, a narcissist. I'm not coming over there to talk to you. It's your problem. You did it. You caused it. And then even if it is my fault, I'm going to lie on you, and I'm going to smear your name where people are going to think that it's you, even though it's me. So their minds are twisted.
So Shannon, give me a couple of examples.
Okay.
Throw some
Of
examples
what
so that
part?
people can know that could be me. I could be in that situation. So throw a couple examples at us.
I'm gonna need some things that I really, when these things happen, I already know that, okay, I'm dealing with somebody who is not right.
Okay.
Somebody who is today very braggadocious. It's okay to have things, but the average person doesn't go around just bragging, on every, they know this person, It's very grand, you're walking on eggshells. If you're just entering a relationship, oh, they're the best thing, they're your soulmate, that they narcissists, I don't know, when you're dating, they typically all say that. So they try to hook you in very early, try to hook you into a sexual relationship. That's why we have to be very careful with seeing. And we can talk about that later, how that affects and allows those spirits, access to you. But they'll love bomb you with so much attention. And because typically we haven't, if you're probably an empath, it's certain things that you didn't get emotionally growing up. You could have had a good childhood and you could have not had such a good childhood, but it's something that you were lacking or something that your parents were not able to give to you, and it created a void within you. And that narcissist comes in there and is able to be everything by mirroring you, by getting you to tell everything, all your deepest, darkest secrets. And when we meet people, we're like, I've been through this. And that's why you don't tell you have to have discernment, especially when meeting people. So you tell them, oh, I've been hurt, such and such hurt me, my last relationship. And now they're like this. Let me take notes. Oh, I would never do that to you. Right. Whatever you told them that hurt you, they're going to do exactly that. And matter of fact, they're going to do more. So you have to be careful what we tell people when they haven't earned our trust, because trust is earned, is not given. But if you are emotionally wounded and you're unhealed, then you don't even know that about yourself. And you're putting off signs and you're telling people in ways that you're not even aware of that, I'm supply essentially, that, hey, my boundaries are loose. You can come in here. If you come in here and you tell me you love me, you come in here and be everything that I need to be, that I need. Okay. And that narcissist will come in there and be everything that you need. So, yeah. So they're mean, that Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. They're abusive, they're manipulative, they lie, they pathologically lie, they cheat. Those are just, we can go on and on, but those are like the main ones that I see, because they love bomb you no matter, they'll flatter you, they're charming, no matter if it's a platonic or a friendship, they all do the same things on more, lesser scale.
Okay. And when you say love bombing, what is love bombing?
Love bombing is where they mirror you when you first come into the relationship. They give you like lots of gifts. They shower you with lots of attention. It's the text. Oh, good morning, beautiful. Good morning, handsome. Because all they're doing is just trying to bait you in, because again, you're wounded. So they're trying to be everything that you did not receive. Yes. It's the gifts. It's everything. It's just being everything that that you think you desire in a person. And they lay it on so thick, so your senses, your brain is like, woo, I'm in La La Land. I found the one, and you found the devil. That's what you found. So, yes.
So it's like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
They switch it on you as soon as you get in there. It's that because they're predators. So as long as the chase is good, and that's why we have to be careful. I'm talking to my ladies right quick. You have to don't be chasing a man. Like, know who you are. If he's giving you signals like he doesn't want you, throw up your deuces. You have to have enough self-worth in you to know, hey, this man is playing games with me. And same for men too. But I'm a woman, so I'm gonna speak from a woman's perspective. If somebody is disrespecting you, it's time to go.
We need to talk to us too.
Okay. So if a woman is playing you and like she's trying to rope you in financially and have you trying to be all these things, you, from a man's perspective, you know, and y'all haven't, or she's trying to sweet talk you, and oh, you're just it, Curtis, you know,
stroking your ego,
stroking your ego
overly,
right? And you're like, I'm the man, you know,
Hercules,
and you may be the man, but you have to know who you are without somebody else's validation. Even if nobody tells me, I'm still it in a humble yet self-worthy, self-worthy way, not from a pride and arrogant type of way. So
do you think men and women with low self-esteem are more susceptible to being with a narcissist?
Yes. And I'm somebody who I thought I had high self-esteem. But what I didn't know was I was groomed. I was groomed from the time I came. I'll be 45 in February. From the time I came into this world by my parents, by my mother, I was groomed to put myself second. I was groomed to think that love and abuse could coexist. I saw the things that were happening in my house, and that was just normalized. The emotional abuse was normalized. Yes, we were taken care of. We had clothes on our back, but we were missing things emotionally. And then, seeing abuse, seeing things in the household, that subconscious is a powerful thing. So somewhere in my mind was the notion that love and abuse could coexist. So that's how I navigated life. So if somebody hurt me, I was just taught, and then I was brought up in a church, like we always say. So when somebody hurt me, I just forgive and let it go. Then I was sexually abused. Oh, forgive and let it go. My stepfather, molested me. So that's all along sending signals. My mother didn't protect me. My stepfather molested me. What is that telling me as a child? That's telling me I'm not worthy. My self-worth is, it's gone. And I'm not even aware that it's damaged like that. So the more that you love yourself, the more. And then another thing is I didn't have boundaries. I had weak boundaries. I was always taught that the people not to trust the people outside of me, but it was always the people in my inner circle that hurt me the most. So while I knew strangers, I always say, while I knew not to let strangers in, I didn't know how to have those boundaries and tell people no in my family. In my inner circle and with my ex-husband, I didn't know how to do that. So if you have, those tight boundaries, even with people you love, and you're willing to walk away from relationships, I don't care who it is, your mother, your father, whoever it is, if they're not respecting your boundaries, you have to learn to walk away from that. And that doesn't mean that you don't love them. That just means you honor yourself enough to say, hey, you're not respecting my boundaries. It is what it is. I love you, but I'm going to love you from over here until you get healthy. And I'm going to pray for you from a distance. So self-esteem is so important.
Self-esteem. Somebody posed a question, so I'll let the producer put the question up there for us. Says, do you think that some narcissists have an underlying very low self-esteem, and this is why they compensate for that by being a narcissist?
Yes. Just like I was abused when I was young, typically narcissists went through it's childhood trauma. Childhood trauma, that's something we don't talk about enough. We are all going through, each and every one of us is going through something that nobody else knows nothing about. We're fighting battles that people don't know don't know about. And the narcissist did the same thing. It's just where I chose to still have empathy and still have love. They chose to operate in the spirit of the enemy, because that's what I'm going to call it. They are the embodiment of Satan. Every characteristic that a narcissist has, the devil has, so that's why it's mental. What the psychology community calls a mental disorder. It's your spirit. It is demonic spirits. It is demonic strongholds that overtake what is in your spirit, man. Is going to take over your mind. Right. So yes, they were hurt. And then instead of, healing and trying to be better, that spirit overtook their personality. Oh, wow. And so it created a false self, and that false self is there to protect that person. Now spirits are there to that inner child in them is gone, so it has taken over them and it has made them what they are. And the more they feed it, the stronger it is. It's demonic spirit. So the more you feed into it, the less, Holy Spirit you have, the less of God you have. You're not going to change. Okay. So yes, absolutely. It's something that happened to them early on that made them this way.
So I mean, if I'm correct me if I'm wrong, your NARC Living organization is from a biblical approach. Could you tell them more from the biblical standpoint where you made the transition from being with that narcissist to where you are right now?
When I was in the military, you mean like just from us being together to where I am now?
Right, because you said from you wanted to speak on a biblical standpoint.
Oh yes.
Like you said, you're talking, but
I got you now.
Talked about the spirits and everything, but is it what did you get on your knees and pray more? Did you go to church more? Were you more involved with saying, some people get on their knees and say, God, I give it to you. It's in your hands. Just help me get out. If you help me get out of this situation, Lord, I give my all to you.
Yes. Oh, Curtis, that's
and God opened the doors for them, and they be like, "Oh, thank you, Jesus." They see a new light, and when they leave the situation that they're in, it feels like a weight of shoulder, the weight off your shoulder is gone, and you feel like a brand new person. You just, you people can see it in you. They can see your skin color is different, your eyes is different, you walk different, you talk different, and they say, God delivered her and took her from a situation that she didn't share with us. But I see a difference in you, Shannon. And then you go and you tell the world your story. Say, hey, some things I kept to myself, but here's my story.
Right. And that's exactly what happened. So I'm going to go back just a little bit if I can. Sure. So we would have fights. I was being physically abused. I was a CW before. He was a first sergeant, and he'd be, he get mad, and that's all it took. It was that switch. There was a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. And eventually it got to the point where I was like, Lord, what is this? I can't take any more of this. So I was praying, I was researching. And then I always tell this story. I was walking around my house one night and I just prayed and I said, God, anything that is not of you, it has to go in the name of Jesus. In the mighty name of Jesus, it has to go. And that next night, all hell broke loose in our household. And he got into it with my daughter. We called the police. And I told him at that time, I told him to go away. We're okay. I wasn't yet ready to tell, but I knew I had to protect my children. So that night, we slept with knives under our beds, my kids, and I said, we can't live this way. No, we can't live this way. So that morning at about 3-4 o'clock in the morning, I called the domestic violence hotline in Schofield Barracks, Hawaii. And they told me to go to the courthouse and get a temporary restraining order. And I got a restraining order, a TRO. And he had to, that next day or something like that, he came with his commander acting like it was a joke, his commander, of course, didn't believe me, So, and then let me see, fast forward. So I got out of that, divorced him, got out of that. But during that time, God was doing something in me. And I said, it was so painful. I had never experienced pain at that level. And I said, Father, I was on my knees. We all have our prayer closets, right. Hopefully you do. But I was on my knees and I said, Father, I cannot take this pain. I cannot deal with this in my own strength. Whatever this is, you're going to have to help me through this. Right. And I said, not from this day forth, not my will, but your will be done. Now I was already saved. I had been saved for a long time, but was I living, fully for Christ like I should have been? Was I walking in the Holy Spirit? Was I reborn? Was I born again? Probably not. So in that moment, that's when I knew I was born again. And that's when I said, God, not my will, but your will. And he showed me different things. And of course, I went through counseling. I went through, therapy, therapists. I had severe CPTSD. I was anxious, but God, and I'm not going to say like it happened like this, because it is not, it was a process. It took time, but I knew I was committed because it's going to be pain either way. So you have to look at it. And that's why a lot of people stay, because they don't want to walk through the pain. But I'm not scared of a little pain for greater gain. And God showed me, it's just like when you run PT, you know, hey, I got to run through this. You know, I have to run this if I want to be physically fit. And I have to go through this fire if I want to find me on the other side of this, if I want to find my destiny, my purpose. And it's tempting to run back because that is a familiar spirit. So it's tempting to say, hey, I'm going to stay back here. It's comfortable. It's what I always know financially. I don't want to break away from this person, even though I know they're bad for me. You know, it's you're going to want to stay back here because that's what you know. But if you can break away and get to that other side, you have God on your side, you will find you on the other side of that. So to answer your question, that's what it took for me. It took me being broken down, so now I can look back and say, you meant to the devil what you meant for bad. God made it all good. Every tear, exactly. Greater gain for just a little pain.
A little pain.
So, so when I look back at
next
God,
slogan
I'm
for your book, you write.
Right. So now I'm like, thank you. You thought
they give you the book title for you. They give you a book title out here.
Right. Right. So everything that I've been through, I'm like, you think you was doing something bad to me? All you did was set me up to walk in my purpose. But you have to be willing to walk through the temporary pain for greater. That is the story. And a lot of people don't want to do that. But that's where your healing is.
Yes, ma'am. So we've heard that many therapists or counselors refuse to take on narcissistic clients when it comes to couples therapy. Why do you believe they think that? Because
narcissists are manipulative and they're not going to change. Narcissists don't change. And a lot of people hold on to the hope, but those spirits are too strong. Their mind is gone. They're not going to change. And then in therapy, I went to therapy with my ex. I'm now remarried, but I went to therapy with my ex, and like we were both in there lying. You know what I mean? It was like, it was a waste of time. You know what I mean? Because I didn't want to talk about the abuse because we were going through one source. So if I talked about the abuse, they were going to tell our commanders, you know, so it was the embarrassment, the shame.
One source is supposed to be, what's that?
Confidential.
Yeah. But I think they told us if it was an abusive situation, they have to report. They have to report it. So I knew that. So we were in there, and then he would change. He was like, because we were going because he cheated, and he would go in there. He told the counsel that he cheated because I wasn't there for him, and he was in Fort Bragg. You know, he later came to Hawaii. So he came there, and so he told them that. Because we weren't physically in the same house at the time, that he cheated because I wasn't there. That's what he told the counselor. So I'm looking at him like, are you serious? So you gonna come in here and flip this? But that's what they do.
Wow.
Yes. So they flip it on you. And some people, they are able, it damages them even more because sometimes the counselor believes the narcissist. So, and that is a victim's worst, or survivor's, one of their worst nightmares, because we don't know who's gonna believe us. And a lot of times we have told
the fear.
It is.
Stay quiet because nobody's going to take nobody's going to believe you. And then you're victimized all over again. It's like you're traumatized all over again, you know, with that added to it. Because now you've gone in your story, you've re-traumatized yourself, getting that out. And now once you get it out, this person that you told and felt safe enough, because it took a lot for you to even, you know, divulge that, then that person doesn't believe you, and then you go deeper. Now this time you came out, you took a step, but now you go further back. You go further back. So it's like one step forward and 5 steps back. So you close that, you close that door, and you know you have that key, and you know you might have thrown it way back where you can't even see it. So and it's a vicious cycle.
Yes. And that's, you hit on so many good points right there, Fedora. And that's why a lot of people, they don't talk, because that happens. And that's so sad. So when I would finally tell somebody and they said, I believe you, it was like, I could feel the inner child in myself. Like, wow. Like, somebody believes me. You know what I mean? Because you told your story, or you tell it so many times, even, or if you have, and then you're not believed, or people be like, there's two sides to every story. Oh, I hate that. You know, those people. So you're like, you know, when somebody says that, then I already know, like, this is not a safe person. But when somebody says like they believe you, it is a load off. So
Okay. Wow. Yeah. Like the people that are watching, I'm learning something new too, because as you speak, I've had leaders in the military that sound a lot like what you're saying, whereas you know, everything is about them and their careers, and you know, they can't say for one time that they're wrong. I was wrong. They just, you know, they just keep moving, and everything is your fault as a leader. Everything is your fault. But it's like, but you told me to do that, you know.
right.
But I didn't mean it like that. You're like, what? Come on. Just so I just let it go, and I'm like, okay, I'm calling DA because it's time to get out of this unit or this battalion, because you know, you're gonna make me do some things or say some things and lose my career, because I know what you told me. You know what I'm saying? I know what you told me, and I know what you said.
The truth.
You know,
That's
you have a lot of
gaslighting.
soldiers in your hands, and then when everybody stand on the carpet to explain why the truck flipped over, who signed off on the risk assessment. Oh, I didn't sign that one. This, you know, it's just a whole lot of stuff. You know what I mean? Nobody wants to accept blame, and you have leaders standing in front of you, like you said, will just say, "Nope, I didn't tell him to do that." You know, so I kind of see where you're coming from when you talk about the first sergeant and the commander. The commander's taking the first sergeant's position because that's his boss, and he's like, I don't want to ruin this guy's career, so I'm going to stand by him, not knowing that you're just as important as the first sergeant. You know, as a person, you're important. You know, because in all things, you're a person first. You're a human being, so I should at least hear what you got to say, and then say, okay, let me look at what's going on and pay more attention to what's going on. And you informed us about something about Army Source One, which I wasn't aware of, that if it's an abuse or domestic violence, that they have to tell the chain of command, which now they're in your business, and could be, I think we talked about this last week, Fedora. It could be a career.
Right.
It could be a career ender for some people when you start talking about domestic abuse and violence in the home, because now they're looking at you different, and you may not be the problem. Like you said, I didn't do this. I didn't tell him to sleep with her, you know, but because he put his hands on me, now I'm the one that's getting the looks, and now they're on my back all the time. Like I was the problem, but no, I wasn't the problem. So I'm glad you shared that with us, so that, you know, those people can be aware and not be afraid. So how can what are some ways victims can protect themselves when you talk about against a narcissist person? How can they protect themselves?
Boundaries. Have strong boundaries. Love yourself enough to know when, because you're going to always encounter people who are not good for you, but that doesn't mean that you stay in those. I don't care who it is. My husband knows I love him to death, but if he act up, look. I can, you know what I'm saying? Because now
you have to love yourself more.
Yes, and that's why I had to go no contact with my family as well. And you know, they were showing me things and doing things to me that were unhealthy. And now I'm at a healthy space where I say I love me enough to know when to walk away. So those boundaries, that self-worth, knowing who you are in Christ. When you know who you are in Christ, you will not allow anybody to do just anything to you, because you know who God says that you are. So, and then you begin to know, you have to know that love and abuse don't coexist. If someone loves you, you know, love is patient, love is kind. If someone is not those things to you, then that's not love. You can call it what you want to. And we know that narcissistic people don't marry, they don't enter relationships for love. They're very cunning and manipulative. So if you can have those boundaries, and when you see those red flags, when those things pop up, You have to trust yourself.
Yeah.
Because if you've been around those situations, you were told not to trust your instincts because you're being too sensitive, right? You're crazy, you're all these things, and it causes you not to trust yourself. And then you put trust in the narcissist, that what they say and what they tell you. So they've essentially like have a hand on your mind, so you have to begin to trust yourself and know that, hey, once I see a red flag, I'm paying attention to it. Yeah, it may not be that you leave right now, but like I'm taking notes. Like Solomon said, document everything. Documentation is your friend. Record things, write things in your journal, everything. I did all that. I wrote stuff. I took pictures because when it came down going to court for because he violated the restraining order, I have a 10-year order of protection right now. So and if they violate the order, call the police. A lot of us we don't want to ruin it. You're not, let's make that clear. You're not ruining their career. If somebody puts hands on you or somebody using you, they are. And a lot of times as women, we'll protect men. And that's what I was going through. I was like, well, and especially if you're a Black woman, it's already ingrained in us to protect Black men. But some of those Black men aren't protecting you. So I no longer, I am with those who love and protect me. And not everybody wants to do that. So it is not my job to protect you if you're showing me that you don't love me. So yeah, love yourself. Love yourself.
There was a question Curtis.
Yeah, go ahead. Because I think that's the one I want. Yeah, that's the one I want to Mr. Fedora, you and Shannon.
Okay, go ahead. You want to read it or you want me to read it?
I'll read it and then I'll let y'all answer it. Ms. Milton says, on the other hand, some people are just selfish and evil. How do you know the difference? In other words, when does mean selfish becomes narcissism?
Our kids are selfish. Our teenagers are selfish. They're not evil though, it is a difference. So I think you can see how, like with our teenagers, because they're in like their own world as they get older, and you can see like they just become like tuned out. So it is, and even if babies can be selfish because they want what they want, but then on the other hand, it's another whole ball game with narcissists. It is the selfishness. It's all the other signs that come with it. So what does it mean when narcissism becomes, or selfishness becomes narcissism, when all those other factors are in there too? Because my teenager may be selfish, but they're not evil. They're not sadistic. They're not, all the other signs of narcissism. So you have to separate, okay, let me see. You're just this, but are you this, and all the signs in the DSM too? Are you those things? So I think that is a difference. You can tell when somebody's just in their own world, versus when all that other stuff comes along with it.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Fedora, you mean, you being educated on this subject. I mean, like I said, I'm learning a lot because once I did the research and started looking up what are the signs, I can say that for 24 years in the military, I've been around a lot of them and didn't know what
it was
or what it was. I just think I just like that. This guy's, he's a butthole, you know what I'm saying? Or she's a butthole. And then I get people that say, don't take it personal. They only first saw him for 2 years. You got to see him. So my thing was to stay away from, when I see him, if I see him walking down the sidewalk, I'm going to the first building I can see because I don't want to deal with them. Or, I'm not trying to be one-on-one with them at any time because, I just don't want to hear you belittle me or talk down to me because, you outrank me or things of that, because you feel, because you have the diamond and I don't, you feel like you have to say certain things to me or just make my life miserable because you may not care for me, So for me, it's learned a lot, and like I said, I spoke to my cousin yesterday and he when I told him the topic was, he agreed. He was like, yeah, we have a lot of that in the military. And and it's hard to push them away because they're so convincing to
They're
their
charismatic.
right.
Yes.
Charismatic, and it's hard, but you see it and you're like, wait a minute, that guy or that girl, you know,
And
he's
on the
like,
surface,
yeah. Mhm.
people, our personalities being, who we are as people who gravitate toward other people who are charismatic, or who are people who are not afraid to say whatever, or you might look at it, oh, this person is conceited, but it's not just that person is conceited, is that you can tell when there's like a disconnect, like there's no empathy, like they have no remorse. They could say something to you and they're like, it's the truth in their heads. Yep. So when you go against that, then you're the worst person in the world. Like, how dare you go against me? Mm-hmm. This is the truth and this is the reality of it. And you're crazy if you don't believe it. Just like we're saying, and the only way I could use it is take the political standpoint of it, and say, you're looking back like, how could someone be for this person? Right. Like, after they've showed us who they are, how can you, as looking like you and me, how can you? It like baffles me. But then you have to say, okay, this person is on their level. This person does not, sees that fantasy world. They're with that irrational belief in their heads. And people are that way. But to you and I, we're like, that makes no sense. This is like going out into the sky and saying it's green. And if you say it enough time, then somebody else might come up and be like,
right.
They'll see it's blue, but then they'll be like, oh, it's green. Yeah, I think it is green. And before long, you'll find people that will drink the Kool-Aid. Just like with people that'll get in these cults and stuff. And you're like, what? Yeah. What's wrong with y'all? Like, what? To us, it's like, are you crazy? And we see it, but we don't have that disorder. Right. We don't have that disorder. And then a lot of times these people who have the disorder, they don't know that they have the disorder because they're in their fantasy world. So yeah, it's very difficult in the counseling world. When you're in that profession, and I am in that profession, you want to help people. And when you find yourself on the other end where you are not helping, right, the only person that you can help are those people who are in a relationship with these types of people. So those are the people you can help. You can't help this person because they have no observational ego. They're not trying. They're like, something is wrong with you. And if you keep getting into a back and forth with them, then you're going to start to think you're crazy and drink the Kool-Aid. And then, it's the game is over. So it's preparing the people who are in relationships with these people to be able to survive. And like you say, create those boundaries and know, if you want to stay in it, because some people do for whatever reason, and we can't judge them for it. So giving them the tools to be able to be productive and not go mad, in the midst of it, because they probably have children or, people that they are responsible for. So it's to help them.
Right.
Yeah.
So Shannon, I'm just gonna because you see me looking to the right because you're getting a lot of compliments on what you're doing and how you survive, like domestic violence. We're gonna applaud you for being able to stand and rise again and say, I've done it, and talk about your boundaries and how you're telling them now that be secure in yourself, what I'm saying? Be about you. Know that you come first, and then everything else is second to that. So a lot of compliments. So we applaud you for surviving and being able to talk about it. Because some people, like you said, some people don't even want to talk about it because they're ashamed. Yeah, and, it's like, I want to keep it closed in because this is just and then you never know what happened, and you transition to the next relationship if you do, but you didn't talk about it, so there was no closure with that. So now you go thinking he's that person or she's that person, and they're not, because you have those walls up or those boundaries, and you're thinking, oh, you're just like this person, so I don't have. So before the end of the day, you're like, the person looking at you like, what did I do? You give me a chance.
Yes, that's why healing is so important. And that's why I say people, if I could tell people anything, it would, one of the things it would be is to tell your story. Don't allow the narcissist, because they want to control the narrative. Be bold enough to know that there is life on the other side, and be bold enough to tell your story, because we are not meant, our bodies are not designed to sit with all that trauma, to sit in us like that. And when I told my story, it was like, it was a release in the spiritual realm, and it was a release in the physical realm as well. So, and it showed other people, it empowers other people to know that, hey, you know, and some people are crazy. So you have to be strategic in how you do things, but don't be afraid of that narcissist. Narcissists are cowards. Okay. So I'm not afraid of any narcissist. Okay. There is nothing that you can do to me physically. You know what I mean? Yeah. Okay. Cause I'm protected. Yeah. I'm protected. And so you have to know that God will protect you. God will make a way of escape. And for those of you who want to stay in that situation, just remember, your destiny is not tied to demons. Okay. So, but they will destroy your destiny. Okay. If you allow them to. So God did not make us to be in these abusive relationships. Okay. If you want to stay, if you are in a long-term relationship with a narcissist, you really have to evaluate yourself and start to examine. And I'm not saying that to place blame or any of that, but when I got out of that situation, I had to look at me. You know, I looked at the narcissist, but I also had to look deep within me. I had to look at the ugly. I had to look at the not so good stuff. I had to really search myself to see. I had to and allow God to examine me so he could heal me from the inside out. And it's painful. It is work. It is painful, but I'm telling you, I'm remarried to an awesome man of God. My children are saved, and you are breaking generational curses. Yes. Okay. It wasn't that I was just doing this for me. It was so that I could show other people that, hey, when you break those generational cycles, okay, when you break those chains, when you break, you know, everything that is meant to, you know, when you get out of everything that is meant to destroy you, there is power in that. It is not power sitting in that. Now, God can help you and sustain you, but you don't want your grace to run out either. Okay. Right. You got to walk in obedience, because God didn't call us to be in abusive situations. Okay. Exactly. So, and there is not a story in the Bible that I have come across where God told us to stay with an abusive person. He said bad character corrupts good company. Okay. So you have to know that if you have to trust in God. Okay. And if you don't believe in God, your higher power, whatever you want to call him, but he will make a way of an escape for you. And that is not his design. I've been in church and people have told people to stay in abusive relationships. No, you get out of that and you pray from a distance and you allow God, because you are nobody's savior and you can't change them. Okay. And you could be blocking their you know, getting changed as well, even though I don't believe they can change, but you need to get out of that situation. I'm not the one to tell somebody to stay in abusive situations. So I said a lot there. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
No, it's needed. Beautifully put.
You know, that's an eye opener for some people that don't believe. And you said the key word, you know, that you talked about, the church. They'll tell you to stay in an abusive relationship and work it out. And
that's religion. That's bondage.
But you're telling them, you know, don't. Hey, who are you to tell me to stay there?
You saying if somebody knocking you upside your head, and not just physical abuse, you know, psychological. Yes, I can get past. My ex almost broke my nose. I can get past that. I healed a lot quicker from that than from the psychological and emotional abuse. You know, the gaslighting to make you feel like you're crazy. You know, when you become a shadow of yourself. So, and you got to remember that narcissist is siphoning your energy. It's siphoning. That is a spirit. It is siphoning all your goodness. So the longer you stay with them, the more you become a shell of yourself. And Fedora, I'm sure you've seen that, people who were with narcissists before and how they looked years after. So for every year that you stay with a narcissist, oh my goodness, your brain, I can't even imagine, because I just think of how my brain was when I got out of that situation, because it changes you. It changes, you know, how you operate. So longer you in that situation, the less of yourself that you are becoming because of that situation. So,
yeah, that's wow. Oh man, just that was good. I can't take anything away from you from that.
Eye-opening.
So how can you help an individual personally? You know, like we talked about, if you know, some people don't believe. Some people that have friends,
Mhm.
you have the friend that tell you to stay. You have the friend that tell you, "Hey, girl, you need to leave this relationship." Um, how can you help them personally? You know what I'm saying? Should the person in the relationship, you know, should it be an eye opener for them if they're telling them, maybe like you said, you've seen this before, and I'm telling you, a guy or girl, I'm telling you, that guy's a narcissist or that girl's a narcissist. You need to be careful. You need to open your eyes, and do you pull them to the side and say, "Hey, let me give you some information, or let me take you to a session where they're going to tell you, and then now you see it, then you go home and that person goes and see it, but they stay, you know."
Mhm. Oh, I tread lightly with those situations, but I still am honest,
Okay.
because I do understand it is a process.
Mhm.
Some people may know, but they're not quite ready to walk away. So I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you, but in all things, I say allow the Holy Spirit to lead you. And I'm
Got
never gonna judge somebody if you do stay. But
uh-huh.
I'm just telling you, if you do, because it's consequences to every action that we take. So
Yeah.
if you do stay, sister, this is what's going to happen, okay? So you can't say that somebody didn't tell you. Now, am I going to judge you for that? Absolutely not, because it's your life and your choice. But if you
Mhm.
stay, it's going to get worse. It's going to continue on. You're going to lose, just all the things that can happen, okay? So I'm just going to be honest, but it's really up to them. To make the decisions and just to know. But above all, I'm going to, tell you the consequences and tell you to go to God in sincerity and prayer. We're gonna have honest conversations. Gonna hold each other accountable is the same thing that I would want somebody if I was in that same situation. You're gonna treat it with love. You're gonna treat it with kindness, but I'm, still upfront and still letting you know there is a way out of this situation. And if
Okay.
you do choose to stay in it, these are, like Fedora said, these are things that you really need to do to protect yourself.
Mhm.
Above all. So, but at the end
Okay.
of the day, go to God, go to the Holy Spirit. He will show you. And if you ask him, he will make a way of escape for you.
Yes, definitely will. And then we have to be mindful and be able to see that escape. Don't chuck it
Oh,
off to, oh, what, oh, this,
yeah.
when the door is open and God is saying, go through that door, you have to have your eyes open to see it.
Yes.
And that's the thing.
Because
Be that
Fedora,
clear.
think of how many times we've seen, God has shown this person that their spouse or mate is abusive, and then they stay with them, and then months later they're gone. The spouse has killed them. God forbid, those are the ugly things that we have to talk about. Things that happen every day. And a lot of us minimize because we're so used to minimizing the abuse. Oh, it's not that bad. He would never do that to me. Don't you ever say what a narcissist would not do to you. Okay. Is you take away their money, you take away their supply, you take away all that stuff, and they will do whatever it takes for them to come out on top.
On
Okay. So if
top.
that means lying on you, cheating on you, killing you, doing whatever
There
they
it
need to
is.
do. Not all of them are
Yep.
murderers or anything like that, but they will do whatever they need to do to come out on top of that situation. So you never underestimate a narcissist. That is the worst thing you can do. So if you are leaving, you are planning to leave, you better start putting money. You better start being strategic. You better start being smart. Okay. And then don't
And
tell them that you are leaving. Don't
yeah.
tell them. And that's why God made that way of escape, because he did it better than I could. So
Mhm.
that morning when I went to get the restraining order, he couldn't come back in the house. So God planned that out better than I ever could plan it out. And then the next time he came there, it was with escorts. But think if I would have did it, I would have been like, oh, you a narcissist. I
Yeah.
don't, you
Yeah.
better watch out when
Might
you do
not be
that.
here.
Right. So a lot of people want to do that. They want to unmask it, and I
Mhm.
made that mistake with my family, and it was like, woo, I shouldn't have did it like that. So once you
Yeah.
tell a narcissist that they are narcissists, you got to be ready for war.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like once you know the secret is out, like the cat is
Woo.
out the bag. Okay, now you're the enemy.
That's
Like
it.
you're against me, you're the enemy, and I'm going to take you down by any means
That's
necessary.
it. And I don't
That's-
care who you are. They do not,
Yep.
demons don't want to be exposed. Okay. Because then you can't
Yeah.
cast them out. And that's why when and that's why we have to be able to call a thing. And I know in the psychology community, they say don't call people narcissists, but I'm talking about it from the spiritual side. And I have to be able to call a thing to discern it, to cast it out. Okay. Because if if I can't say you're dealing with rejection, you're dealing with abandonment, you're dealing with, you know what I mean? If I don't know that, I can't cast it out. I can't go to God and say, you can't cast that out of me, or you can't cast it out of yourself. But when you know what it is, I know I'm dealing with the spirit of Jezebel. I know I'm dealing with the lion Leviathan. I know I'm dealing with the python spirit. Then I can work on that to cast that out. Okay. Then we can be real about it, and we can rebuke and do all the things that we need to do to get rid of those and go through deliverance to get out of, get rid of that. And I'm not saying don't go to counseling, because I'm a fan. I am a advocate of therapy. I'm still in therapy, but that's so I can release, all that stuff that has happened to me and be healthy about it. So,
Okay. Well, we've come to the end of another Sweet 915. So, Shannon, could you tell us how they can get in touch with you if they need to?
Yes, I'm on social media, on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook under Narc Free Living LLC, or Twitter free_narc. But if you type in Narc Free Living LLC, it'll come up. And then my website is www.narcfreeliving.com. So you can reach me, and email address, everything is on the website, links, resources, different things on there that may be helpful.
Okay. We appreciate you coming once again and sharing your story with us. We're going to do a part 2 of this. We have to do a part 2 of this because we didn't get a chance to talk about a lot of other things that you probably could have shared with us. But if you could you come back? I know the producer will get in touch with you, so you can come back and maybe we can get somebody else on and y'all can share and help somebody out, because you probably save somebody's life. Like you said, narcissists get to the point that they may kill you if you tell them you're leaving. So all of the things that you're telling them today, that somebody's listening and they can share with somebody, and somebody can share with somebody else, and you may have saved somebody's life today. So thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
We appreciate you coming on. But like we said, somebody asked, so we're going to do it. We're going to do a part 2 of narcissism. And I know my girl Fedora, she bring stuff, some more information, some good information for us to give everybody, so they can be knowledgeable what's going on, so they can get there as well. Let me see what else I need to talk about. Fedora, do you have anything before we get out of here?
No, just I want to say thank you to all of the poll workers, the watchers, everybody who was welcome. In the I know. All of the people who worked, everybody who went out and voted, regardless of how you voted, democracy was high, it was present. And if anybody ever thought that our vote was not counted, or our vote did not matter, this election was proof that it mattered, right? We matter.
Showed up.
We matter. So I'm so proud. I'm so happy. And like I always say, continue to keep loving your heart. And thank you so much, Shannon, for sharing your story. You are an inspiration for everyone, to listen to. And I wish you nothing but success, continued success with your Narc Free Living platform. So thank you again.
Thank you, guys. I'm really looking forward to part 2.
Me too. Yes. So once again, we have our upcoming shows. We want to talk to you about dating during the pandemic. We still, if you want to send in you want to be a guest, this dating during the pandemic, it's Sweet 915, the real Sweet 915 at gmail.com. Let's talk about it. I'm saying we'll get you on here to talk about, but we're going to still talk about domestic abuse, because they want to come back and talk about that as well. We're going to talk about narcissism, so we can make it aware, because the pandemic is going on and we don't know what's going on out there, but we want to save somebody's life and make somebody aware of what's going on. So remember to tune in next week, next Sunday, same time, same place, 4 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Thank you for tuning in. God bless. And remember, no topic is taboo and life is sweet.
It is.
Have a good evening.